Hey everybody, welcome to my first YouTube stream. I've tried a few streams on Twitch and now I am coming over to YouTube to hopefully get better video quality as an end result. If you've watched my earlier videos, you may have noticed they were pretty low resolution. That's a artifact of exporting from Twitch over to YouTube, so I'm going to try streaming on YouTube and see if I get a better result. I've also tried to turn down the game sounds so they don't overpower my voice the whole time. So what I want to do is just, now that I've played through Wasteland 3 a few times, not the full game, but a few of the battles, a couple of the different scenes, I have a better feel for what is to come, what characters to expect. And I just wanted to go through setting up a brand new set of custom characters in Supreme Jerk mode. And we'll just walk through that as I've done it with the Mime and the Freak. I'll stick with them because I enjoy those characters still, and so far it works out pretty well in the early game. But before we jump into a brand new game, I wanted to cover save files really quick. If you've already started Wasteland 3 in a lower difficulty mode and you've been wanting to try out Supreme Jerk, you don't have to lose all your progress, but you have to be careful not to lose all your progress. So if I go into load game here, this is the way these save files work. There are 3 different types of save files. You can see there's something called a quick save. This has 3 different versions of a quick save. Quick saves you can trigger while you're in the game to be quick. I have it bound to a hotkey of 0. So whenever I'm in the game and I think there's going to be a battle, or I just was successful with a big battle, I will hit 0 to quick save, and that way if you run over a mine or you're bleed to death and you forgot to switch your equipment, you can quickly reload and start fresh. Especially in Supreme Jerk mode, you're bound to die in battle, you're bound to make mistakes. That's part of Wasteland. Luckily there is this quick save feature, and even if you do die in battle, it will go right back to your last quick save. There's also the feature of auto saves. The game tries to help you out in this sense, because maybe people don't realize that you're going to die in battle in Wasteland, or maybe you'll lose a person too many times and you won't have nitros and you want to try all over again. It happens. Wasteland is difficult. That's what makes it fun. So the game will help you autosave at certain points along the way. You do have to be careful with these autosaves because there is only one of these. So if you switch characters, if you try a new party, if you try a new difficulty mode and autosave kicks in, it will overwrite the last autosave and you won't be able to go right back. So if you're only relying on autosaves, as I was when I first went through this, you will lose your progress. So what you need to do is manually save the game, give it a new save file. That's why you see these names that aren't autosave or quick save. These are save files I've created, and that allows me to switch to, I think I have 4 different versions of my party around the same point in the game. But I also have this starter, this MF starter ambush site, where I've created my main 2 characters, the Mime and the Freak. I've gotten them to the point in Ranger HQ where I can add 2 more people to my party. So rather than have to play through that every single time I want to create a new party, I can pick up from this saved game, make my party, and then save a new game like I did with Clown Posse or Into the Apartments. So just be very, very careful that if you are switching parties or starting a new game and trying a new difficulty mode, manually save the file with a file name so that you can get back to it, and auto saves or quick saves won't overwrite it eventually. You may even want to turn off auto saving. It's helpful, but once you get in the habit of hitting your quick save button, you'll be more used to that, and I've read that there are still some issues related to autosave. So if you're seeing crashing or freezing, you may want to disable autosave, but we can cover that. I think if there's also articles about that as well. So I just want to make that clear. If you are about to create a new game, do not lose unless you want to lose your progress because you're just starting over. But it's very easy. Just save the file. You can always go back to it. It'll just sit there as long as you manually save it. But we're going to go. So continue, by the way, is your last quick save or autosave. It'll just pick up your most recent save file and continue. New game. We'll just create a new game. There won't be any save files related to this. if you do have autosaving turned on, the first autosave from this new game will overwrite your old autosave. That's where you need to be careful. So we are going to do Supreme Jerk. It has extreme combat difficulty, which typically means you're going to miss a lot more. The damage is going to be a lot higher. So there's much less margin of error. Friendly fire is on also if you haven't played with this yet. Things like heavy machine guns, flamethrowers, grenades, they can all hurt your own team members. So you have to be careful where you position yourself. Make sure you're not next to someone who's about to use a flamethrower. So just requires you to be a little more careful, but it's also part of the fun of making it through these difficulty modes. And it's not hardcore, so if you die, your game's not over. It's harder to win battles is basically how it goes. So we're going to select this difficulty for the most fun. And it also fits in with our theme of jerky characters. But again, it's not a hardcore mode. If you're used to some other hardcore modes, that would mean, I think Diablo may have one, you play through as best you can, and if you die, it's over. That does not happen here. If you die, you can still use your quick saves or your auto saves or your manual saves. It just means combat's harder, it's less forgiving, and you can hurt your own people. So we'll skip over the cinematic, get into the character creation. If you have not custom character created before, they do give you some pairs. I never find it fun to use pre-existing pairs, as my name, OG Reroller, implies. I enjoy rolling characters and re-rolling characters, so I always jump right into custom character creation. They give you a male and female to start with some basic setup. We're going to skip over all this and just dive into what matters throughout the game. Identification is more for your own purposes. I'm going to go with my normal setup of the mime and the freak. So we're going to do the freak first in this case. You can pick whatever voice you want. This really doesn't matter at all, other than how they talk. And they don't talk that much in the game. They'll just have some lines that they throw out. Background does matter a little bit. You can see here they all have slight little bonuses. This is nice. It's not like Quirk. Quirk is optional, gives you a bonus and a negative at the same time. Background is not optional. If you stick with Bookworm, you get a 5% experience bonus, which is nice. If you're not drawn to any of these particular ones, you can just stick with that. 5% experience bonus will always help you. Will always until you reach max level, of course, which I think is level 50. But as you gain levels in the game, you have the option, the opportunity, I should say, to increase your attributes, which we'll get into. You have the ability to increase some skills, which can also give you some perks. But we'll get into that in a few minutes. So in this particular character, if you have not seen my Mime and Freak series yet, the Circus Freak is a really large circus clown that likes to carry a heavy weapon around. I've been putting him as Disciple of the Metal lately because it's a fun heavy metal riff. It also just seems like a cool giant heavy metal clown who's carrying a heavy machine gun around. So when you're into identification, that's really the only thing that will play into the gameplay at all. The name is just for your purposes. Gender is just how they're going to appear, and then the voice you can pick for when they speak. So background's the only thing that's going to give you a little change to your stats or your combat abilities. So not super important. Appearance is totally up to you. It doesn't matter. There's no hitboxes. Wasteland is a round-based combat system. So each of your party members will get a chance to move, attack, use skills per round. It's not an action RPG where you have to run around and try to shoot things and hit their hitboxes and all. It's all based on your hit percentages, your armor percentages, your damage amounts. So appearance is truly just for the fun of it. So for my freak character, I do change his hair around because he's a giant clown. So I give him lots of big red hair. although this will change when I change to the quirk, you'll see. So I leave the beard off. Helmet, jacket, pants. This gives you options to change. You can put a helmet on. It covers everything you did with hair and face and beard. But I leave that off. Jacket doesn't matter. You can change the armor color as well. This will all get replaced optionally with gear. When you're in the game, if you get a new piece of equipment and put it on, you can toggle a little checkbox that shows you either the pants that you pick here or the pants that you're wearing, for instance, or if you get a helmet in the game, like if I got this helmet in the game, it would cover over my head even if I don't pick it here. Or if I put this on now, I can toggle off helmet and it'll just always look like that. So it gives you the option to always keep your appearance, or you can show this empowered appearance as you get better gear. Armor color is, again, just for your defaults. I'm not going to change that. Physique matters just for the look. So in this case, I have a gigantic, jacked clown. He's not a clown yet, but he will be by the end. And portraits just show up when you're picking your characters for your team, and it shows a little overview of your team. They're not important at all, other than to help you distinguish who your characters are. So this one is a big giant clown, so he's going to get the clown portrait. So you can see the starts of our big giant freak clown. The only thing that matters right now is Disciple of Metal. That gives him a little additional, what was the Disciple of Metal? Gives him more fire damage bonus, and since I will be having him use a flamethrower from time to time, that will come in handy. Starting weapon, I believe if you pre-ordered the game, you get a set of gold equipment. There's one of each weapon type that are better than all of these starting weapons. So if you have them in your inventory, this really doesn't matter at all, because the first thing you're going to do when you get into the game is swap out your starting weapon to what you have in your inventory. If you don't have those, then this will be what you start the game with until you find or purchase better weapons. And this is an important aspect of Wasteland. Even though we have attributes like strength and you have skill in your weapon, the damage that the weapon does is going to be totally based on the weapon that you have. How many action points it takes to use is also based on the type of weapon that you're using. And then your skill with the weapon is really going to determine if you can equip it at all, and it also modifies slightly your hit percentages. But if you want to be a sniper rifle user, for instance, they're going to give you a fairly crappy sniper rifle, and the only way you're going to do a lot more damage as a sniper is to find a better weapon. And usually in Wasteland, to find a really powerful weapon will require that you have 6 sniper skill, for instance, as opposed to starting with 2. So for now, it doesn't matter because all these weapons do not that great a damage. I'm picking heavy weapons, so he gets this heavy machine gun. But you'll see, I will swap this out immediately with the gold starting weapon. That is a lot better. But he's going to have his starting heavy weapon. It's important to remember what you picked because you want to make sure you give him... let's skip over attributes real quick. We'll go to skills. So for this example, big guns, it covers heavy machine guns and flamethrowers. You can see that here. Heavy machine gun hit chance goes up with your level, and flamethrower hit chance goes up with your level. That's really all that happens. You don't do more damage. You don't really have any additional benefit to having a higher skill in big guns other than being able to use better guns and having a higher chance to hit. What also happens along the way is it opens these perks up. So you can see if I upgrade to cost 1, I don't get any perks, but it allows me to use big guns without penalty. And then my second skill point will open up the option to have a perk called Move Up. Now, it's important to remember these perks are not granted immediately. If I have 2 skill in big guns and I get that perk, I still have to activate the perk with perk points. That's a lot to talk about. It'll make sense as you look through the game, but just remember that upping your weapon skill, or any skill for that matter, really only allows you to use it in more complex situations. It's the same with general skills. If you pick lock, which is a very important skill in Wasteland, lock picking of skill 1 will let you pick locks of a difficulty of 1 or less. That's really all it does. If there's a lock that is locked at difficulty 3 and you only have skill of 2, you won't be able to open it. You have to up your skill to 3 or find someone who has that level of ability. So the level of your skill is very important, and it also forces you to make decisions because you can't up all of these skills to their highest level along the way, especially early game. 1 lockpick in your party will mean you can pick locks of 1. You don't need to have everybody have lockpick because it'll just use the highest level in your party. So it's important to spread out the skill points, especially in your first 2 characters. I would definitely recommend lockpicking for 1 person because you will run into a couple of locked items along the way. One thing I also have found useful is nerdy. Where's nerdy? Nerd stuff. Lets you hack one of the initial computers that will shoot one of the armored units and you get a little additional loot. Not a big deal. It also lets you hack computers later on, which you really won't get a chance to in the very beginning. So you can skip it. But we'll get into my choices for these 2 characters. Just wanted to point out that attributes here aren't going to make those skills stronger. The only one that really affects skills is intelligence. Every 2 levels of intelligence, you gain 1 skill point. So it's helpful to add intelligence, especially in the beginning. I like to put my intelligence up so that I can add additional skills. So having like 1 lockpick and 1 first aid, 1 explosives, all those things will come in handy very early on in the game. As you level up throughout the game, you can increase your intelligence, you'll get additional skill points. So then you can start adding things like toaster repair and energy weapons and skills that will come into play after the very beginning. You won't need energy weapons in the very beginning, for instance. So there's no need to waste a skill point there, unless you just really want to go with theme. And if you think your guy is into weird science and you want to jack it up, then that is fine too. It just won't be useful very early on. So we are going to build out the freak. I have started. Initially, I didn't go high in coordination, but one of the benefits of a high coordination, what's helpful here is as you hover over these, you'll see it tells you what it's going to do on the right. So 2, 4, 6, 8 coordination gives me 4 action points max and an additional 4 to start with. Status effect resistance is not as big a deal. There's not a lot of statuses in the beginning, but action points are really crucial because everything you do, as I was saying earlier, it's a round-based combat system. So you'll have a grid in combat. You can move your character around. Every movement along the grid uses up action points. Every skill that you use uses action points. Every weapon shot that you fire uses action points. So the more action points you have, the more you can do. A heavy weapon, for instance, his gun will take 6 action points to fire once. So he's not going to be able to fire twice in the initial rounds. But having more than 6 action points will allow him to defend or heal himself first, reload or fire all in one round. So it's very beneficial very early on, I believe, to up this coordination to 8. I don't think there's a need to go to 10. It's only 1 additional action point. But I found 8 to be a pretty good spot, and it still leaves me room to build out my other stats. So for the freak, he's going 8 coordination. He's going to split awareness and strength at 4. You can also turn down, even though it starts you out with 2s, you can move them down. 1 is the minimum, so I can't have 0 luck. But I've not found much use for luck early on. You can see it's only a very small percentage for luck. One of the benefits of having more than 1 luck is penetration will go up every 2 rounds, so every 2 levels of luck. So +2, +3, and what penetration does is it offsets armor, basically. So a penetration of 1 will help me get through 1 extra level of armor. Again, this is not a big deal because each of the weapons also have a level of penetration. So this isn't going to be very high for him. The flamethrower, although, does, I think, have 99 penetration. But you don't meet very heavily armored people early on, so you don't have to worry too much about penetration in the very beginning. And the chance of you critting and getting a really high damage crit when you're only doing like 12 damage per shot is kind of inconsequential in the beginning. So I keep this at 1. I'm going to put awareness up to 4. He gets additional hit chance. Perception goes up, which helps him spot things. And then what comes into play mostly for him is this ranged damage bonus. He's going to be using a heavy machine gun, which is considered ranged. There's also melee, which is an option. So melee would be like a hammer or a blade, or brawling is also not ranged. And then there's explosives, which are rockets and grenades. So this will help his basically ranged gunfire do a little bit more damage. So 12% is pretty good, and the hit chance going up is always helpful. You don't want to waste your action points missing people and then having to take damage an extra round. I also put strength up to 4. What I have to do is move these down to 1, so I have more points available, and then I can move strength up to 4. Unlike a typical RPG, or maybe RPGs that are of a different type of genre, strength does not mean you'll immediately do a ton more damage. It will come in handy, but as I had shown you with attributes, the damage done relies on the weapon being used. So your skills are going to allow you to use certain levels of weapons that do more damage on their own. They all have damage ranges, so strength isn't going to all of a sudden double my output of ranged combat. But what it does do is add a base constitution. So I have a constitution of 25. You can think of constitution as hit points. When your constitution goes to 0, you're knocked out. And then if you're knocked out for a certain number of rounds, you basically die, although you can be revived in combat or after combat. Con per level means each level that your character gets, they will get an additional 6 con. So this is pretty interesting to take early on. For the first 2 or 3 levels, I'm going to be getting 6 instead of 3, so it basically doubles my con per level at 4. Throwing range, he is going to be my explosives user. Explosives gives you access to not only rocket launchers, but grenades. So having a larger throwing range will mean he can, most of the time, not have to move to throw a grenade into a group of enemies. And then strength, as it says here, it can equip items requiring 4 strength. You will, pretty early on, actually run into armor that you can only equip with strength of 5 or higher. So one of the first things you do want to do if you're worried about armor is to bump your strength up. So I'm going to stick at 4. If you've noticed the pattern here, every 2 levels is when you get an additional perk. I shouldn't call it perk because there are perks, but you get an additional bonus. So con per level in this case goes up. Speed, I believe I keep speed at 1. Speed isn't like your ability to attack first, although initiative, right here, the initiative percentage is your chance of going first in combat. So it's helpful, but it doesn't mean the end of the world. A lot of times you'll find the combat begins pretty far apart, and your characters have to move, and the enemies have to move into position. So getting the first round, it can be helpful to take one person out. A lot of times if you're running into a non-combat situation, you can initiate by firing at someone, and then combat will start. So it's not super important in the very beginning. Evasion is just your chance to not be hit. And there's no really big perk to going up in multiple speeds here. So I'm going to keep him at 1. I am going to move intelligence up to 2 because of the additional skill point that you get. Some of these other things, critical chance and critical heal chance, not going to come into play in the very beginning. It's all a percentage of your actual chance and then a percentage of your damage. So a small percentage of a small amount of damage is not a lot. So I do want that additional 1 skill point, and now I'm out of points to customize my attributes. So this is how I do my freak character. 8 coordination, only 1 in luck, the 4 awareness for the extra range damage, the 4 strength for the constitution gains and the ability to add stronger armor, minimum 1 of speed, 2 intelligence for the skill point, and then a minimum charisma. I just don't have skill points left here. Charisma is kind of useful. Not only do you get an additional experience bonus, but you get leadership range, which if you do have the leadership skill, it increases like hit chance, for instance, for your party members that are near you. So higher charisma means your party members can be further away and still get that leader bonus, and you do gain more experience. And from what I've seen, these are pretty significant gains in 2% to 5% experience gain. You will certainly level up faster than the rest of your party. So that's his build right now as far as attributes. We will jump into skills. So because I added intelligence, I have 4 skill points to use up here. If I upped my intelligence more, I do that later in the game with I believe my 3rd or 4th member. I've been making a mechanic / healer, so I bump intelligence all the way up, and I can add a whole bunch of skill points that way. But as you level up in the game, you will get, I think it's 3 each level, you'll get 3 skill points because of the intelligence, so you have a chance to bump these skills up pretty early on. So what you want to make sure you do in the very beginning is at least give yourself 1 point in the weapon that you've chosen. So if I gave myself 2 melee and I picked heavy weapon, it's not really going to be helpful. I'm not going to be able to use that heavy gun. I'm going to have to stick to melee combat until I get more skill points. Excuse me. So in this case, I have a big gun, and I'm going to move it up to 2. The perk is not that important because you have to be able to turn that on, which you can do later in the game. So you could stick with 1 here if you really wanted to allocate 1 other point. The main thing you'll miss out is the additional hit chance. So I think I go with 2 here. And then I feel like, let's see. For him, I go explosive. Explosive's not only helpful for throwing grenades, but you do get to disarm landmines and traps. And right from the beginning of this game, you will run into traps and landmines. So this is very helpful early game skill. In my opinion, the 2 best early game skills that are not weapon skills are 1 in explosives and 1 in lockpicking, because you will also run into a bunch of things that are locked that you need to pick. And for your lockpick, I would definitely recommend every level up to at least bump it up by 1, because as you progress in the game, lockpicking is going to go from 1 to 2 to 4, 5, and you're going to be locked out of places. So he's going to be my explosive user. My mime character, the other person in my initial party, is going to be my lockpick. And again, it's really only a level. It's not based on dexterity. It's not based on speed. If I have the right explosives level, I can disarm the trap. That's 1, or this is 2 or less. So if there's one that's 4, I'm just going to blow it up. So I pick 1 here, and then the other thing I give him, he's a big, nerdy, explosive clown. So I give him nerd stuff, which you do get to use in the initial tutorial, if you want to call it that, the tutorial battles. There's 1 computer you can hack, so you don't have to avoid the walking mech, and you can actually loot it once it kills it for you. If you don't take this, you can't hack that in the beginning, but you can just walk where it can't see you, so that you don't get stuck. It's fine. In fact, if you've never played Wasteland before, they do a very good job of giving you a way around not having a skill. It's always helpful to have the skill. It's usually beneficial, like toaster repair even. You'll run into some toasters. If you can't repair them, not a big deal. But you get some stuff if you do. Same thing with lockpicks. It's usually not a main mission of the game that you can't get through if you're stuck without a lockpicking skill. There's usually a way around it. Maybe it requires picking up an NPC in your group. Maybe it requires blowing something up instead. They do a very good job of supporting your choice. So if you don't want to have a lockpick because it just doesn't fit in your theme, you'll be fine. You'll be able to get through the game. You might just struggle or you'll miss out on certain things, but that's part of the trade-off that you make. So I do enjoy that. I've always liked that about Wasteland, that I can build characters that I like. And even though I may be penalized by not having certain things, I'm not stuck. You don't ever get to a point where you just cannot move forward because you didn't take lockpicking 6. So it's pretty good. And plus you have the ability in the game to up your skills. So if you do want to start adding more skill points to it later, or you run into something and you're like, oh, I only have 3 lockpicking, I want it to be 4, you can go gain some experience, level up, and then upgrade your lockpick. So you have a ton of options. There's also equipment that you can find along the way that will boost skills. And there are skill books that you can find and read. If you do find a skill book, however, and it's in a skill that you plan on maxing, I would recommend holding off, because the way this works is the upgrade cost goes up significantly as you get higher level. It's not always 1. So you can see to make it 1, it's a cost of 1, but it's a cost of 28 to make it. So it goes from 22 to 28. So that last one, it's actually 6 whole skill points. So if you get a skill book and you use it initially, it's only worth 1 skill point. If you wait until the last 1 or 2 levels, it's actually going to be worth 6 whole skill points for you. So if you can be patient and you find a skill book that you like, really hold off until you're about to max that skill out. Just a suggestion. So for him, he only has 4 skill points, so we're going to go 2 in big guns, 1 explosives for the grenades and for the landmines, and then nerd stuff, just because I think that fits well into his theme. And then the quirk is the final piece of character creation. Quirks are optional. I have fun creating custom characters, and there's a quirk option, so I'm always going to pick a quirk because I find it fun. But the only thing about quirks is that in addition to something positive for your character, they all come with something negative. Some negatives are worse than others, so it's really up to you. If you really just want to dive into your theme, kind of like I am here. I said this was a big circus freak that looks like a clown, so when you pick this, one of the downsides is that you have a clown costume. You can wear equipment and override and eventually not look like a clown, but the fun of this is you can also turn off all the equipment and always look like a clown, which is what I intend to do. So what you get as part of this quirk is combat speed increase, slight, and critical resistance increase, and then the trade-off for that is your evasion goes down, and then your detection time goes down as well. Which I think detection time is if you get into range of combat, the enemies will notice you and start combat faster. Whereas if your detection time was a little higher, you could run up almost right in front of them and stab them or shoot them. Since he's using a heavy machine gun, I don't plan on him being evasive, and I don't plan on him running straight into combat. We can really shoot from afar, so this works out pretty well for his character. So with the quirk and the background and his appearance, now we have this giant freakish circus clown, and that is the freak. So we will repeat this process with your second character. This certainly takes a little while, but if you are like me, this is an enjoyable part of the game. You get to pick the type of character you want. You get to set its skills. I tend to restart my parties and try to change the attributes and the weapons around a little bit. It's not really important for the end game, because as you get to level 50, I think the way it works out is you can max all the attributes except for 1, which you can only get to 9. So by the end of the game, your character will have all these attributes maxed out. So it's really just a question of what do you want early, what do you want your character to focus on, and how do you round out a party until everybody's level 50 and you're just mowing things down. That being said, skills and perks, I don't think you can get anywhere near having all of these maxed. I'm not sure, I haven't done the math, but there are a lot of different skills and then the perks that come with them, you still have to pick and choose what makes sense for your character. So you're not going to have a party that has all the skills, all the perks, and all the attributes maxed out. That wouldn't be fun if you could do that anyway. And it is a progression, so you have to make little trade-offs along the way. So that's what we're doing here. And one of the neat things that they do as you get into skills, it will show you, like explosives here, you can see it tells me the party members who have this skill and the level at which they have it. That way it's really easy to make sure I don't have 3 people that have lockpicks, for instance, right? If I do, then I don't need to add any more to my skill and lockpicks. I can do something different. So really nice interface design here. They make it really easy to do your customization all throughout the whole gameplay. So this identification, we are going with the mime. I keep the mime a female.
Spotted.
In my mime and freak scenario, the mime
New target.
is
You started it.
a
We'll
jerk.
finish it.
I don't know if we normally think of mimes as being jerks, but she is small, compact, she carries a submachine gun, has a really bad attitude, and is the leader of the team, basically. I didn't go through all the backgrounds. If you really want to pick the background that you really like, these are on the wiki. You can also just spend some time in here reading them all. For the mime, it makes a lot of sense that my mime is a mopey poet. It does give her evasion as well. And I may make use of that. One of the things I want to do with the mime is to eventually move her into either a brawling or my meleeer. I have not found a good way to enter Supreme Jerk mode with meleeers. You don't have enough action points, you don't have enough armor or constitution, and I very easily get mowed down in combat, or at least one of my 2 people die trying to get into melee range. And the other downside is the melee weapons just don't do that much damage. So it takes multiple strikes, and if you miss one of your hits, it really sets you back. So if you're up for a big challenge, make 2 melee rangers. It could be a brawler and a meleeer in Supreme Jerk mode. So far I've found that quite difficult, although I do want to eventually get into a brawler. I just think it takes more weapons and more ability. So my mopey poet will have some evasion because she will be getting up close and ambushing. Submachine guns they don't have a big range. So the mime, the mopey poet, her appearance, going to give her the mopey face. Hair doesn't really matter. Hair's only going to come into play if you change out of the quirk. As you saw with the clown, with the circus freak, it's just a quirk that changes all your appearance for you. So all this will get overridden anyway. I'm not even going to add a helmet. I'm not going to give a jacket. I'm not going to do pants or armor color. All that's going to get replaced by the mime. Physique for the mime, I've been going with a small, and right after stocky is this goofy thing called compact, which is basically like a hobbit. So she's this really tiny, bad attitude, SMG wielding, crazy, pissed off mime. So again, in the portrait, in this case it's really simple. It's a mime and a clown. So there's a mime and a clown portrait. So that's what we're going to use. The starting weapon, as I mentioned, will be a submachine gun. Submachine gun uses automatic weapon skill, as does assault rifle. So one of the benefits of using automatic weapon as a skill is you get a pretty good choice. Assault rifles are longer range. You'll find more of them in the game. They take different ammunition, and you do get to equip 2 weapons. So I could theoretically give her a submachine gun and an assault rifle, but so far I've just let loose with the submachine gun, and that's been fine. And again, I believe it's a pre-order thing, but you start the game with gold equipment, gold weapons in your inventory that are better than the starting weapon that you pick here. So when you go through this, if you have that in your inventory, be sure before you even fire your first shot, bring up your inventory, swap out your gun. And also make sure the skill that you pick matches the starting weapon, although with that pre-order equipment, they do give you one of each weapon, so it's not as big a deal if you mismatch your starting weapon and your skill. Same principle applies here. So far, I'm of the belief that 8 coordination is the best way to start out. And that is for the sole purpose of having 4 additional action points. The SMG, for instance, uses 4 action points to fire, so that theoretically it will give me the chance to fire twice, or at least fire and then ambush. And ambush takes as many action points as your gun takes. So I find myself, as I've played through before a little bit, ambushing with my mime quite frequently. Ambush comes in handy if you have not tried it before. You set wherever your character is on the grid, you set them up to ambush. They get additional hit chance based on how many remaining action points there were when you went to ambush. And then if an enemy moves into their attack range during the enemy's turn, the ambush will actually get triggered and they will shoot at them. So they use those action points if the enemy moves into range. The other option is to defend, where you can use those action points remaining to gain evasion. So it really depends on the scenario. I do like to make use of that ambush, especially with a nice weapon. She gets one that has a stun effect, potential stun effect. So they run into your attack range, they lose a bunch of health, and then they're stunned for the next round when you get to attack them again. So ambush is really helpful. But action points in general, moving, attacking, using skills, using items, reloading, they all take action points. So the more the merrier. But I think 10 is pushing it a little too far. You can get to 10 on your first 2 level ups. So I stick with 8. Seems to be good. You can even drop that down a little bit if you really want to get more like strength or speed out of it. For the mime, she is not as aware. The luck is going to go down to 1. I'm not a big fan of luck. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But luck in the early game doesn't seem to matter. Keeping her at 2 awareness, what you get at 2 is an additional hit chance, a little extra perception, and she's going to be ranged, so any additional range damage bonus is helpful. Strength is not as important. It mainly is going to increase your constitution and then the level of equipment that you can add, but so far I've only found 1 piece of armor in the early game that requires strength that I don't have. So pretty much you can find armor that you can equip. Everyone gets a jacket, a helmet, and a pants pretty early on in the game, so it's not a big deal. And the melee damage just isn't going to come into play at all early on. Speed at 2 is good for the evasion. SMGs require you to get a little closer than the heavy weapons do, or even the assault rifles. Range is not quite as far, so you probably will have an enemy run up on you, try to hit you. So having additional evasion is good. I do push her intelligence up pretty high. I gotta bump the charisma down. So 2, 4, 6. One thing I find difficult, I don't know why, it just right over here next to the name, they don't show me the number. I just have to keep counting these. I really haven't seen it anywhere, so it'd be nice if as you hovered over this it just showed you what number you were at. So I have to count box. But 6 intelligence, a little extra critical damage, but main importance is you get 1 extra skill point for every 2 intelligence. So this will give me 3 additional skill points to make sure I can round out my party with the lock picking. I'm also going to make her sneaky. And then again, I run out of additional points for charisma, so I'm sticking with 1. One of the early guys you get to join your party is an NPC named Quan, and he has a little higher charisma and some of the leadership stuff. So I tend to rely on him in the beginning to be my charismatic one. And it kind of fits the theme too. A tiny grumpy mime and a big giant machine gun clown. Probably not the most charismatic people out there. For her skills, I'm going with automatic weapons. Again, this is with big guns, it was heavy machine guns and flamethrowers. Automatic weapons are assault rifles and submachine guns, both of which are very handy to have. Brawling is a very special combat system. I've tried it a little bit, but not with a lot of ability or action points, so I found it annoying. But there's a combo system. The more brawling attacks you land, it builds up your combo. So I would like to get into that later on. Melee combat is blunt, which does more damage to armor, and bladed, which has a chance to bleed, but doesn't penetrate armor as well. Small arms are your shotguns or your revolvers or pistols. This is pretty helpful. I did this with my first character build with a shotgun. Shotguns are actually really useful. They have a cone effect, but with friendly fire on, you have to be careful that who you're attacking is not anywhere near someone on your party, or if you're standing behind the person you're attacking, it's possible your shotgun will injure your own person. So revolver is probably a better choice in the beginning if you're going small arms. And then sniper rifles are purely sniper rifles. I will add a sniper to my group just because I like the idea of a sniper in the group. But to be honest, I haven't been impressed with snipers early on. They miss a lot. They take 6 action points. So you usually only get 1 shot per round. And they don't do much more damage than the automatic weapons since they spray multiple bullets. So I do add a sniper for theme later, but you could just as easily have a second automatic weapon user. So we're going with 2 automatic weapons. I need a lockpick, so I gotta make sure. Oh, and sneaky too. Sneaky will allow you to disarm alarms, and it also gives you a dialogue prompt in a few places. So one of the interesting things you'll notice about Wasteland is dialogue with characters along the way, with NPCs. There are a lot of different options. Some of them even give you rewards in response, or they open up additional paths for you to go, and they are based on sometimes a melee skill or a general skill, and then there's even like social skills here. So having barter, for instance, not only gives you a higher sell value and cheaper buying cost, but there's an occasional dialogue where barter will give you a dialogue option to say to the person, maybe open up a trade for you with a non-merchant. Hard ass is similar to that, where I can pick a dialogue path that's based on this skill that opens up to me. Some of them are just for fun, some of them are just for theme, some of them really do give you a benefit to having selected this. As I said, she's my mime, she's the leader with a really bad attitude, so I give her hard ass. I give her sneaky. I also want to make sure I have a lockpick. Lockpicking, I'll reiterate, lockpicking is probably the most important exploration skill to have early on. There's a ton of things to open up locks on. You get equipment with it, you get reusable items like med packs and repair kits, all these things that cost money that you don't have a lot of money in the beginning. So lockpicking is a really easy way. You don't, unlike some other games, you don't actually need lockpicks to do it. You won't break anything. You will just either open the lock or you won't, and then inside will be something. So I definitely recommend having and leveling up lockpicking very early on. Mechanics also can come in handy. It helps you fix generators and fix other machines. It also allows you to do more damage to vehicles. Not quite as important early game, so definitely lockpick. And then the other one I would definitely say is explosives is very helpful. You can go first aid. First aid will increase your amount of healing from an item, and you will almost always have to use a first aid item. The only ways to heal in Wasteland are a doctor visit, which you will meet a doctor pretty early on, but it costs money in the very beginning, which again, limited resource money, or you always have to go back to headquarters to heal up your party. The good thing about a doctor's visit is it will also remove injuries, and there are a ton of injuries in this game. I don't remember injuries being a thing in Wasteland 1 other than bleeding, but I could just be misremembering it. But you get all sorts of things like gouged eye, broken legs, bleeding, like a concussion, you're dizzy, and they all have different effects, and none of them can be removed except for an item or the doctor. So having first aid is handy because you'll get more value out of the healing items that you get, and it also allows you as a first aid user to use items that require healing as a skill. There are, like the med pack, for instance, the little hypo med that's self-injectable, that doesn't require any skill. So you can give it to all your characters, they can heal all themselves up, but if you have first aid, you're going to get a little extra healing out of it. And then there's also suture kits and injury kits, and I think all those require some level of first aid. So I do add first aid just because I know I'm going to need to heal up, and I basically have an extra skill point because I wanted to make sure that she was sneaky. I wanted to make sure she was a lockpick, and I wanted to make sure she was my hard-ass team boss. And then the automatic weapons, I'm not going to bother putting 3 in. So 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that extra bit of intelligence opened up some additional early skills for me, so that comes in very handy in the very beginning. And then the final thing we do to finish off the mime is pick this other quirk. Quirks have a plus and a minus, or in this case multiple minuses, but detection time for the mime goes up by 2 seconds, which means you can go longer before you're detected. You have slightly less con, minus 10, and throwing range goes down, which it really doesn't matter. I'm not throwing anything as the mime, so the really only negative effect for me is this negative con. But because of my attributes, strength will give you +5. So if I wanted to balance this out, I could very easily go 1 more con and take something away. 2. Let me just make sure I did this right. There's 6, 2, 4, 6, 8. So yeah, what I'm making sure is that I did it in steps of 2. As you can see, if I do 7, I only get 3 action points. But if I do 8, then I get the 4th. So things usually come in groups of 2. So awareness is 2, speed is 2, this is 6, and this is 8. So I'm okay with that. I don't mind the minus 10 con. It's not that big of a deal, and she'll be able to heal. So that is the basics of character creation. And I think the 2 most important things of your first 2 characters are balancing out their skills so that you have a lockpick, an explosive, first aid you may or may not want, but just making sure you have a range of general and exploration skills that will help you in the early game. And then the other thing is to make sure you pick weapon skills that match the weapons that you start with, or that you plan to use in the beginning. You always have a chance to add skills later in the game as you level up. So if you're tired of being a heavy weapon user, for instance, and you want to switch to a shotgun, then you can start putting in small arm points. So you have the option to change. You're not stuck with this. This is just your early game loadout, and then the harder choices to make are as you level up along the way, what you want to invest the attribute point and the additional skill points in each level. So that does become a little bit of a challenge, and I do recommend saving a game, doing a quick save or a manual save before you allocate your points if you're ever unsure. That way you can play it out a little bit, and if you don't like it or you wish you had picked something different, just reload the save file and pick it again. So you will find in Wasteland, especially on Supreme Jerk mode, save files are your friends. Wasteland is quite a difficult game. Some of it comes down to rolls. So you saw very small increments in hit chances here. You may have a combat sequence where you miss many shots and then you end up dying because they don't miss their shots. So you want to reload that game, and then the next playthrough you might hit all your shots and they die right away. So it all comes down to those small little percentage points, and definitely leverage your save files. So we covered all the basics of these first two characters. Pretty soon after the tutorial, you will have an option to add 2 more party members. And one of the options you get is to create 2 more people. Or at least 1 more if you want to pick a canned person, you can do that. So these same things apply, except now you'll have a bigger pool of people. So what I tend to do with the second group of 2 that I get to make is specialize them. So these are more of the generalists in my group. I have someone that's going to, the heavy machine gun, if you have not tried it, can spray bullets, it can hit multiple targets, and if it does kill one target, it will still shoot through if there's someone behind it. It just uses the ammunition you tell it to use. Very helpful early game item. He's also going to be higher in constitution, so hopefully can take a little bit more of the beating. And then the mime is there to help with first aid, move around with the faster SMG and take multiple shots. So the plan for this approach is my heavy gunner just kind of stays in one place or moves very little to damage a number of people at once. The mime is sitting in ambush in case they come at me, and then goes after the rest of them and finishes off the people that the freak has weakened. And I found that works pretty good. And then what I do is I add a specialist into my party, so by the time I have 4 custom characters, I will have a low combat but high skilled mechanic / healer that's going to do the rest of my first aid. I think first aid is one of the few that it's not a bad thing to have multiple in your group, because you're often going to be healing in combat and it uses action points to heal. So you can't run your medic all around to everybody in your group depending on how far away they are. So it's usually helpful to have 1 or 2 people in your group that have first aid that can administer first aid or revive someone and then heal them with a little bit better effect. So that's a good overlap skill. So I will have a medic / mechanic to also repair my equipment, and then I specialize in a weapon. So in this case, I've been tending to lean towards the sniper. I really want to get that sniper rifle up, but I could also easily do someone that's just really focused on assault rifles, or maybe someone who's focused on energy weapons or the explosive weapons. So that I tend to do 2 generalists in the very beginning and then add 2 specialists later on, and then the NPCs will fill it out as you get them, and you'll find the NPCs are also fairly specialized, like a revolver user or a charming person who doesn't do a lot of damage. So it's good to round out your team with your custom choices. So this is the party of the mime and the freak in Supreme Jerk mode, and we will jump into the very first combat sequence. If you've not played Wasteland 3 yet and are just watching, it drops you right into combat. There's no build up. I think there was a tutorial, little pop-ups that I just turned off. It's pretty easy to figure out how combat works. It's mainly, the challenge is being able to do the right damage and move your characters around properly. So we'll hit confirm here, it'll load, and it's going to drop us right into the very first sequence of battle.
Hold him off, Team November. Drive straight on the deepest shot. Buy me a minute, and I think I can get the weapons online.
There's our grid. So you can turn the grid off. I really like the combat grid. To me, it's a good visual indicator when I ran into combat. Sometimes I mistakenly run into combat range and combat will just begin. So it's a nice little boom, combat is starting. And it also shows you you can see everybody is in a square. This is cover. There's a lot of cover in this game. Cover comes really handy. It doesn't protect you from getting hit, but it can help the enemy miss and reduce some of the damage that you take. So it's important as you move around. Like you can see, I can move here. These little orange lines are telling you who can shoot at you. So this would be a very bad spot to move to. There's no cover. I can be shot at by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different people. And eventually you'll see a mech come up here, which will make it 7. Bad spot. If you can avoid it, do not want to move into the open. And one nice thing about the interface, well, I said a few nice things about the interface, is it shows you how much cover you get and in which directions you get the cover. So this means I have about half cover here. There are different areas of cover, some large, some small. This one you can see, you can zoom into. You get coverage from both the front and the side, although you still can get shot at. So in this particular scenario, there's a lot of enemies. So no matter where you move in the beginning, you're in risk of getting hit by all of them. This back here is what you're waiting for. This is basically a vehicle that's been damaged, and she's trying to repair this big gun. And then this big gun hits a very wide range. So once you get to, I think it's the 3rd round, you'll have access to this big gun, and it will save your butt. Otherwise, you'd never survive this battle. So one thing I mentioned when we went over character creation is if you have access to this, and hopefully you do, because they're very helpful in the early game, there are a series of gold equipment in here. There's one of each type of weapon, and they're all better than the starting weapon that you chose. So if you don't have these, hopefully you chose a starting weapon that matches the skills that you have, because that will come in very handy. You can see here on the right, it says it requires 1 small arms, which is red because I don't have it. And then it says failed requirement penalty. The hit chance goes down by 10%. The critical chance is basically 0. And the strike rate, which is how you build up one of the skills that you have, is minus 100% also. So basically, you do not want to use this gun unless you have skill for it. I suppose they let you do it in case you're in a pinch. Maybe you're all out of ammo, and the only thing you have left is this revolver. You might hit with it, but it's not going to do a lot of damage, and you're probably not going to crit. So definitely want to line up your skill with your weapon. Also, a thing to note here is the damage is shown on the upper right. So as I had mentioned earlier, weapon damage is derived entirely by the weapon. Having additional, I could have 10 assault rifle and it's not going to make this gun do more damage. What 10 assault rifle skill means, or 10 automatic weapon means, is I can equip a weapon that requires 10 automatic weapons. That's the skill. So in that scenario, usually the higher the skill required, the more damage the weapon does. So it's kind of regulated that way. If you want to level up and you really want to throw all your skill points into assault rifle, for instance, if you did get it up to 5, you most likely aren't going to find an assault rifle that even requires 2 or 3 for quite a while. So you're just not going to get a benefit out of having a really high assault rifle skill in the beginning of the game. I go with 2 just for the extra hit chance. That's really the only thing that transfers over. If we look at skills again, big guns, I went from a 3% hit chance to a 6% additional hit chance, and I find that that helps a little bit. I could very easily have just stuck with 1. The perk, you do open up a perk, but you can see here, these are your perks. They're white, meaning I have access to them, but they're not, I don't actually have them. I have to pick here, and you click on it, and it will confirm that you want to activate it, and it will use a perk point. So until I do that, I don't even get to use these perks. So that was something I did not realize early on either. So adding 2 big guns opens up the perk to me. I don't get to benefit from that perk. So you can keep the skill at 1 in the very beginning, but you do want to level up the skills that you plan on using because you're going to find equipment that you either can't equip or you won't be able. You'll get all these penalties here. So in this case, I'm looking for. Here's the flamethrower, which uses 4 AP. I put that in my secondary weapon because you can, in some scenarios, fire off your main weapon and then have enough AP left to fire off your secondary weapon. So I like the idea of having a secondary weapon that uses less AP. If you have 2 weapons that use the same amount of AP, it's not really that beneficial, unless maybe one has a different effect that you want to make use of. And it doesn't matter if you equip these, you can, as I'm doing in combat, you can move them around. You're not stuck with it for combat. I don't think that's true with the actual like armor. I can't swap out wearable equipment until the battle's done. But I can swap out my weapons, luckily, or you'd be stuck with whatever you went into battle with. So if they run out of ammo, you're kind of SOL. So this one, as you can see, the War Pig, if you hold left shift down by default, I think it is, it will compare. So where was my other heavy machine gun? Here it is. So the Bunker Buster is what they gave me. I really like this. Another nice feature of the interface is when you're comparing, it shows you on both sides what's worse and what's better. This one is clearly better. The War Pig is clearly a better weapon. The damage is higher, the ammo capacity higher, the base hit chance is higher, and the penetration, which doesn't matter too much because it's only from 5 to 7. And you don't meet a lot of heavily armored people in the very beginning. You will definitely later. So another thing to keep in mind here is this is not only 10 to 14 damage, but it's 10 to 14 damage per shot that hits. So this fires off 10 bullets each time you fire, where the other one only fired off 9. So sometimes you might see like 10 to 14. If they both said 10 to 14, the War Pig would still be better because it does it 10 times instead of 9. So all those numbers come into play. So basically, when I fire this weapon at a target, it's going to shoot 10 bullets, and each of those bullets has a chance to hit. They each have a chance to miss, and they each have a chance to crit. So in this case, more bullets is good, but they also use ammo. So the ammo count is 60. You'll see when I go back to the combat screen, it shows you how much ammo you have, and it tells you the ammo type. So this uses 762, which is right here. I have 270 rounds of ammo. This is something to keep in mind, especially if you want to use something like a shotgun, or the flamethrower, or a rocket launcher. You will very quickly run out of ammo, which is another good reason to vary your party. For instance, if all of my party members, when I got to 4, if we all used heavy machine guns and we all used 7.62 ammo, we would run out of ammo quickly, and then all this other ammo would just be useless. So besides rounding out your skills, also keep in mind that your guns do use up ammo, so you want to try to keep them balanced. So I have the flamethrower and the heavy machine gun on the Freak, and the Mime has an SMG called the Nailer, but the Hailstorm, as we will see, same thing. It's 7 to 10 times 6, and the penetration is higher. And one thing, it's not marked to green. I wish it worked so it would stand out more, but this has a 25% chance to apply shocked, which I guess it's hard to compare which one's better, but in this case, the Nailer has none. So obviously a 25% chance to apply shocked is better than no chance to do anything else. So I am going to equip the submachine gun here, and this uses 9mm ammo. So I have 9mm ammo here and 7.62, so I find it's a nice balance. I don't burn through ammo as quickly as I would if they both use the same weapon. I don't give her a secondary weapon because the AP is on the top right here. The AP is only 4. I don't think there's anything. Yeah, the pump shotgun is 2. Another benefit to using a pump shotgun, but also it has a smaller range. So the range of the pump shotgun is only 10.5, and this is 12. So get a little extra range for a few extra action points, but I'm fine with that trade. So we swapped out our weapons. As you can see, here's the ammo count, and here's your secondary weapon. So in my case, for the mime, she would just punch you. If I ran out of bullets, I'll switch to my punch. So in combat here, what I'm going to do is move my mime here. This is the options here. So I can ambush someone from here. It costs 4 AP, and then any extra AP remaining, I get an additional 5% hit chance, which is nice for an ambush so you don't miss. So you want to keep this number in mind. Another good thing that they do is they'll show you on the bottom. So you can see I have my action points remaining in blue, but when I hover over an action, they go to white to show me which it's going to use. In this case, it's a final action, so it would use however many are left. If I want to attack, you can see it's only going to use 4, and then it's a very clear visualization of how many are left. So in this case, if I don't want the additional hit points or hit chance, I can attack this person and then ambush, and that's what I do want to do. It shows you that white bar is the range of the damage that it would do if I hit all my shots at the max damage. So just because it shows that Dorsey killer almost dead at the end of this, they probably will still be alive unless I crit all my shots, and then they will die. But that white bar will just give you an idea of how much damage you'll do, and then if you're out of range, you can see this red circle. It does a nice job of not only saying out of range, but it doesn't show me even the damage. So I can see here, I can hit this person, I'm going to do a lot of damage to them, but I can't hit this person because they're out of range. So I used some action points to get here. I'm going to fire. You just fire by clicking. You can use a skill. This is your quick slot. This is the med hypo. This will just automatically self-inject it and try to heal me up, but I don't need that. And then if I had a skill, it would be under your abilities. I don't have those, so basically I'm just going to left click on this person, trying to shoot them. There we go. You can see I added shock. Didn't do quite as much damage as it said. I could fire again, but what I'm going to do is just go into ambush. Now my freak is a different story. The heavy machine gun has its ammo count here. It takes 6 to fire. But the nice thing I like about this heavy machine gun is it will spray out here. So not only am I hitting this person, but it has the potential to hit some people behind it as well. So I'm just going to again left click on this person. You can see it not only killed my target, but shot all the way through, and I got a 2-for-1 deal, which is awesome. But I don't have enough AP. It costs 6 to fire. I only have 4 left. So what I could do, if there were people still in range, this is why I like your main weapon costing us more AP, or vice versa, your secondary weapon costing less AP, because now I could potentially, if they were, say that they were left on like 10 health, I could shoot up my flamethrower. But you can see here, the range of the flamethrower won't reach anybody else. So I'm going to stick with my main weapon, and instead of ambushing, which I can't because ambush costs the amount of your weapon costs, defend is usable. You have 2 other options. If you don't want to ambush or you can't ambush, you can always defend. Defend just means increase my evasion for however many AP I have left. So even if you only have 1 left, you'll get 5% more. Whereas prepare, instead of increasing your evasion, it will use up to 2. So even though I have 4 left here, I won't get 4 additional action points for your next round. In this case, I know there's still a lot of enemies out there. Having played this, I also know this mech comes in this round. So I want to take as little damage as possible because I don't want to die in the very first combat round, so I will also defend. So here comes the mech. This is my turn, it's now over. and this is the next round of combat. So fortunately for me, it looks like this first combat is pretty generous. All these enemies target NPCs that are not part of the group. So them dying is not, it's just really setting up the story for you.
Come on, you piece of...
It doesn't affect your party.
There's the
So
problem.
we survived. As you see, I didn't even take any damage to my two mates. Unfortunately, this weapon is still not fixed. So she's over here. This is Major Prasad. She's trying to fix it. So we really just have to survive one more round. Doesn't show you here, but the radius of this is pretty much all of these people here. Or if they were to move over or they move over, I could get everybody. So I'm going to focus my fire. I don't know why my ambush didn't trigger over here. It should have triggered when they moved into range. But I am going to focus my fire over here to try to get rid of some of these people. Oh, look at that. I crit, and then that guy's shot. I get to shoot again. Beautiful start so far. Not only did I finish off two people, but I have enough to hide. So again, it increases my evasion. There's not as many people on my side anymore, so I'm definitely going to get shot at this round. But luckily those two people are gone. The freak here, I'm going to shoot. I tend to focus on trying to finish somebody off. So since this person is damaged, the potential of them not doing any damage to me next round is more important than possibly taking this person down to half health. So hopefully I won't miss. I did not. Well, I missed some shots, but so now we took out 3 different enemies and there's only 3 left, right? So that gives us a better chance of surviving the next round. I am going to defend and hopefully dodge any bullets that come my way. Alright. Yep, they're shooting at all the people that aren't my group. Man, that thing has a lot of ammo, doesn't it?
November, you have targeting control.
There we go. So, I did take some damage, but he's still pretty healthy. My mime is completely healthy. One thing that I haven't been doing yet is changing the order. Not moving, but because it's a round-based turn, I don't have to go freak to mime to gun. I can actually start with the heavy gun. So you have to be strategic. For instance, if my mime was sitting here, and I knew that firing this thing was going to kill my mine, then I would make sure I go over here. I would move the mine out of the way, if I could, if they had action points to do it, and then I could go to back to the gun. Or if I wanted to fire something, or maybe heal myself, I could go to the mine here, or to the clown here if I wanted to be super safe, and I could do my med hypo, heal myself, and then switch back to the gun. So you can keep doing that until they run out of action points, and then you can keep doing that until everybody runs out of action points, and then it'll be your turn's over. Or you can just click end turn if you're done. I don't ever really do that. So you can see here, targeting this thing, I just click attack. If you don't click attack, then you have to target it on one person. If you click this little target, you can move it around freely. So I could fire it over here and hit practically nobody. You can also, if this mech was over more, I could try to aim it like in the middle to make sure I got everybody. So sometimes I've had one person straggler here, or that person still live, and you can just barely move it to cover everybody. So whatever it shows here is who it's going to hit, or at least attempt to hit. There's always a chance that they evade it, but there's the absolute guarantee that this shot will hit these people, these enemies, and they just might evade it, or the armor might take it down, or you might just miss. But this gun, I don't think this gun misses because it's a big explosion. So in this case, I can see everyone is in the red circle that is still alive. If I fire this, it's going to essentially kill these 3, and then my combat will be done. Boom. There goes the grid. It rolls up to
Over
the
here, you
selected
two. Come
character.
here.
And we survived the first combat round.
If you want to live through this, we gotta take out the bastards with the rocket launcher up on the dam.
So that is potentially the tutorial combat.
We'll
They
each
set you
find
up
our
with a
own
lot
way
of
up
different
there
elements.
and catch them front and
You
back.
won't get a vehicle gun to use until later on. You do get a vehicle, but not until after this next series of battles is over. And then we're separated here. Even though we're really close to each other, she could probably just jump across there. But your characters won't, and she's going to take this vehicle up the back. So this is, again, where the dialogue comes into play. There's no other options here. You can either say, be polite and respectful, or if you're a big giant clown and a bad attitude mime, you
Now's
could be a
not the time
little
for attitude, Rangers.
dismissive.
Remember, Arizona's depending on... All right, move out.
There's the first dialogue. Now, we get to move our characters around more freely. Combat zooms in a bit, so I am zooming out, and there's no grid now, so I can just move my guy around. And the way your party works here is because there are still things that can happen. Like there are landmines I can run into, there are tripwires I could set off, there's other battle radius. We'll see that in a little bit, where if I walk into someone's range, then they'll start combat. So you can move all your people around separately. That way, say if there's a landmine or if there's a fight about to happen over here, and my mime was almost dead, I might want to keep the mime way back here and just move my the freak over there. Or if you hit the space bar, which is the default, you can see if you look down here, there's a white blinking outline on my freak, but not one on my clown. I mean, not one on the mime, so when I move, it's just the clown moving. When I hit spacebar, it's called group mode. And now when I issue a movement command, my whole party will go with me. So this is more convenient because you don't have to keep moving to different people and issuing movement commands. But it's also a little more dangerous because if I just haphazardly walk across a mine, my whole team will be there to get damaged. So it gives you the option to do either. For now, I'm going to keep it in group mode. The one thing to keep in mind is that if you issue an action command, like this was looting, if there was a chest to open, that only the currently active person is going to go do that. I'll show you that. This is mainly just junk. These spikes are actually ammo for your shotgun, so when you get the starter shotgun, unlike the weapons I showed, the gold shotgun uses shotgun shells, which you only have 8 of, I think, whereas you have a lot more of these spikes and they give you more spikes. So if you start with a shotgunner, you might want to just stick with the one they give you, or at least swap back to it if you use up all your shotgun shells. That was mainly junk. Again, make sure we're in group mode. I don't think I have to heal the clown here, but you might as well. So if you haven't used quick items, quick slots, if I go into here, I get 2 quick slots here. Those are the usable items, I think. Oh, this is a yellow snowball, so you basically just drag it into your quick slot. And you can move those around during combat as well, so it's really just for convenience. This is not targetable, it just hits myself. It gives me 50% of my constitution, and since I'm less than 50%, I'm just going to pop that. And there we go. Now I'm healed up, although it did use one of my meds. This is where I was talking about quick saves. Now that I'm done this battle, I've looted, I've healed. Before I move on, and I usually do this every battle, because there could be a trip mine here, there could be someone else waiting to attack me that I don't know about. I hit what I bound with 0 for a quick save, and now this game is saved. And then what I had mentioned before, because I do have other characters, if I were to pick up my other game right now and start playing and start quick saving my other group I would quickly overwrite these quick saves, and then I would not be able to get back to this character grouping. So it's very important, once you've started combat, once you've gotten past this, if you like your team and you want to move forward with them, go into here. Don't do quick save. Quick save is what I just did. You hit load game or save game, and you can see this is quick save 1. It used to be quick save 1 down here. This is now quick save 1. I'm at the ambush site. So I've overwritten one of the other quick saves. If I had auto saves turned on, it would have auto saved and it would have overwritten my last auto save. So if you've only so far on this game or your other game quick saved and auto saved, you may not be able to get back. But if you go to save game, this just says ambush site, so I can do YouTube starter kit, and then I can hit save. And so now if I were to go to return to game, I can't load game from here. Alright, if I go to load game, I can load this game that I just saved, or I could go back and say, oh, let me pick up Clown Posse and move forward with them, or my last saved game, which before this quick save was here, I can pick up my other game. So I just wanted to go over that again, because you don't want to go through this, really like your team, maybe start over one more time, do a new game, and then find out you can't get back. So go in here, save game, give it a name, done. You can always click on one of these if you're like, hey, I have too many, and just delete it yourself. But if you overwrite it with a quick save or overwrite it with the auto save, you don't have the option of going back. So, and especially in the beginning, go in, save a manual file. If you don't like clutter, if you don't like having a million save files, then instead of doing quick saves, you can just save over it. So I can move up here and say, okay, I did some things that I like now. I'm going to go back in here. I'm going to save the game. And here's my starter kit. And I'm just going to overwrite. So now I don't have to have 100 save files named for something. I can just overwrite it myself. That way you get control. If you just rely on the quick save and you start a different group and quick save, then you won't be able to get back. So last time I'll bring that up. Just an important thing. If you're like me and you like to run multiple types of parties, you don't want to necessarily lose them unless you really are unhappy. So we're going to come up to here. There is someone waiting to attack us up here. So I'll move just to mine. And let's do a little animation. Where's my mine? Come on. Come together. So here's his circle. My red circle, if I mouse over here, is what I am in range to attack. So I can't attack him yet. If I were to walk into this circle, he would initiate combat. So when they show you these red circles, it's their detection range. So as I move closer here, I'm not in danger of starting any combat. And this is where I was saying initiative's not as big a deal in early games, because you run into these scenarios. And now he's just sitting there splashing around in blood, and I can just shoot him and he's dead, no combat, over. Otherwise, if I had just walked right up here and he started combat, he would have done some damage to me before I could have done that. So definitely good to, you should get in the habit in Wasteland in general, just walking is short. Like, even though I want to go way over here, I'm not going to click here because I might walk into combat range, I might run over a landmine. So just move in little increments. You can loot him, just 2 things of junk, which will just give you some gold later. So again, make sure you're in group mode now, and there's a little another cinematic. The rocket launcher on top of the dam doing some damage, but it's not going to hit us, so we can just move up here. I know there's no landmines here, But if you're not sure, if it's the first time through, you can just kind of move a little bit at a time like this and wait. But I know there's nothing here. You're going to come up to another cutscene.
How should I know?
And
Maybe you blew her up.
it's not clear, but you can still
Your
move
friends are here.
until you get into this. When they letter bar it like this, letterbox it,
Highlanders, drop your
then you
guns
kind
so
of,
she doesn't die.
you have to wait.
Got it?
Okay, you click here to move. Here's one of the I have an attack, which is just I could attack her right now. If I had the kiss ass skill, it would tell me what the dialogue option is. I don't know what it is because I never have used it. Hard ass is like, hey, I want you to just go away. Otherwise, I'd have to go through these series of questions. I kind of already have an idea of who the Dorseys are, and frankly, I wouldn't take her word for it anyway. So, I'm of the inclination to use the skills that I have. So I'm going to pick the hard ass
Fuck
answer.
you. I'm gone.
You scare her away. Go ahead, tell them
Thanks.
you will meet them in a minute.
Saved my life.
Alright,
You probably
she's having
should've
trouble
killed that
breathing.
Gal, though.
So I don't know if these
Gonna
do
warn
anything
her.
in the long run,
friends.
or if it's just for your immersion in the game. I feel like I did think of that. I didn't have the option. I did have the option to attack, I guess,
And
but I'm trying to keep her
appreciate
alive.
it.
So,
just watch yourself.
and here's
They're
another dialogue
right
option: first
outside.
aid. So let's take
Thanks.
a look at your wounds.
You guys are
Did I get anything for that? I don't think
lifesavers.
so. Any other survivors? You have to. This is
likely.
one I noticed. If
Most
you don't
of
pick
them
that now, you
burned
don't
with
get a
our
chance to pick it
transport.
later,
Wait,
and it will let you
don't know if he'll
pick
come
up a
with
cat
you if you
early
find
on.
him.
Alright,
He get
we'll come back for you.
Okay, be careful.
All right. So before I save the game now, I'm just going to go through and loot so I don't have to do this again if I have to reload. So I'm going to loot that box. There's an ammo box here. Let's loot that sucker. And then there's one other container. Bring me all this loot. It's going to play a little audio file for us.
Much for saying goodbyes, Jody Bell. So we're gonna slip this into your pack before you leave in the morning. We just want you to know how proud we are
There's some more story advancement.
that we'll be praying
Um,
hard for your safe return. And don't you worry
So
about us.
what I do like to do is, I know there's going to be combat out here, so I'm definitely going to do a quick save.
Remember not to sass the officers.
I could also save over because I don't plan on starting there again.
Colorado and back.
But
Just
I like to loot first, listen to these dialogues first, so if I do need to revisit the save file, I don't have to go through all the little tedious looting again, because I think that there's a chance that the loot changes in each one, so maybe that's an option if you ran into a nice loot place and you want to get the loot and maybe try again to get something different. You could save it before you loot, but in this case I really only save in case this battle goes bad, and then I'm going to start over, so I don't want to have to talk to her, loot the containers, re-heal myself if I had to heal. So try to do everything first, then I can come in here. I could do a quick save, but since I already have this save file named the starter kit, I'm not going to go back to the middle of the ice there. You have to be careful that you overwrite the right file, but they are listed in order that you use them. So now I am ready to start the next round of combat, which will happen as I walk out here.
Wake up, cousins! More Highlanders coming!
We find out these Dorseys are not very nice.
Ruining our fun. Guess we better finish off the rest of them. Post up, cousins. Don't let them get the drop on us.
Alright, so they all move in a combat position, but as you see, there's no grid on our screen here. So the combat has not yet started. This is an important concept in a lot of the engagements here, especially if you had your party way back here. If I were with the freak or the mime to just run up and start combat, wherever my party is where they're going to stay. And remember, it uses action points to move. So if I keep my freak back here and I start combat, I'm probably going to have 2 rounds of combat before I am even range to shoot anybody. So what you want to do, if you have the opportunity to do, like I do here, so you can see as I get closer over here. Well, let's get out of group mode for one. So you can see there. So this person will detect me. If I just start running into here, they will start combat before I get a chance to do anything. So what you'd like to do is position your people as close to where you think you want them. So I can tell here there are some Dorseys waiting to shoot this direction. It looks like there's 1, 2, 3 down here, and then I have this person here on this side, and they're coming up the ramp here. So I'm positioning the freak right around here. I intend to use this barrel. These blow up, so this one will blow up. There's a bunch of different containers. There's nitro containers, and they will blow up if you shoot them. So I happen to know that I can't shoot this unless I'm right here, but I don't want to trigger anybody just yet. So I'm going to leave him there, and then what I'm going to do is move my mime in this direction. I can already attack, so I'm going to attack here. There we go. Alright, so now combat starts. Okay, so we get the grid. Now everything that I do will take action points. So as I mentioned, I can't hit this unless I'm right here. I think I want them to get a little bit closer, but not too close. So I'm going to move here, and then I'm going to fire first. Beautiful. And then I'll just defend up here. So I'll use my cover, hopefully not take too much damage. I do like to ambush with the mime, but now because maybe I should have started combat with the freak. But I know at least one person is going to run up here. I don't really have a chance to make it to cover and ambush. It takes 4. Remember, it's the cost of your weapon to ambush. So I'm just going to move here because this person is dead now. So I'm going to move here. That leaves me 4 blue available action points. No cover, but that's alright. I'm just going to ambush from here. So they move closer to my little battle friend. And then here comes... There we go. And he's shocked. Wow.
The bleeding will cleanse you.
That's not bad. So... that person's there. If I hit here... There you go. They're dead. The freak is in really good shape. I don't have enough AP. Let's see. I wonder if I could, can I hit him? No. So you can see the mime is turning white there. That means even though I will kill the ambusher, I will also kill the mime if I do that. So I'm not going to do that. But because I used the ambush in the previous round, I still have 10 action points on the mine. So the action points that I saved from last time, I used in the ambush. So now, I not only have the chance to just finish this person off, I can move, not that far. I can move here, get some cover. You can see the little armor icon there. Get some cover, and go back into ambush. So the mime's pretty healthy. I'm probably gonna get shot at by this person, but let's see. I think I'm gonna move so I have armor on this side, some cover, and then I'm just going to defend. Hopefully they're gonna miss, just like that. So good to have cover on the side they're shooting from. Now I should be able to finish them off. Perfect. A really easy sequence there. Because I didn't miss any shots. Again, I could have easily missed these 2 shots. I could have taken a lot more damage. And in which case I would start over. So I want to make sure. That felt so easy. I just want to go in here. Yep, I'm in Supreme Jerk. That's the highest difficulty there is. So, just felt like I didn't miss any shots and I did a lot of damage. I don't even need to really heal up. So I'm going to run over here and loot this person. You can pretty much loot anybody. And you can see all the bags of loot up here. So this is junk, some ammo, a key that I can use in another crate, more ammo, junk. Here we go, a little bit of meds to return to me, which is awesome. So, did I use both the ones I had? Oh, I have 4 of these now, so I can give him one, and I can make sure she already has one. So that's great. I'm not even going to use one here. Since it's 50% of your constitution, it makes sense to only use it when you're under 50% of your available constitution. If you can wait that long, if you're in a pinch, you can just use it. So pretty good. And then I will just do a quick save here. And then if we look back at the save files, now we have quick save 2. So it looks like it juggles only 3 maximum quick saves. So I still have my 3rd quick save, which in the very beginning was my most recent one, from the Clown Museum. And now quick save 2, quick save 1 have been repurposed to this group of characters. It looks like did it autosave? I thought I had autosaves turned off. So it's still autosaving, although it still says 49. So I thought I turned that off. Maybe I didn't. But you can see if I quick save one more time, all of my quick saves will now be this group. But I don't mind because I have my other group saved most recent. So I'm going to move forward with the mime. Actually, I'm going to move forward with the freak because he has more awareness. And this is where you want to start stepping lightly. Was there a container? Oh, one thing you might not know is with the default bindings for WASD basically moves your camera. It doesn't move your character. You can also move it just by moving the mouse around. But Q and E rotate the camera. So that can come in handy when there's like cover blocking something and you might not realize like, oh, there's a crate right here. So Q and E will rotate your camera. And then you just have to remember which direction you were headed. I was headed over here. So we'll go around one more time. Sorry to make you dizzy. There's no, like, rather than going right here, what I would do is move my characters, stay in group mode, move up to somewhere that looks safe. Oh, I just walked through fire. Oh, another reason to not walk. Well, here's the injuries. You can see 2 seconds remaining. Now, fire does hurt, as does bleeding. And now I am 22 of 45. So I probably will heal myself here. You can do it here or in combat. I do it here. Just because I'm gonna quick save again. So now if I'm in group mode here and I click on this medical crate, only my active person, so just the mime goes over to do that. I get my medicals back. However, if I just right click here, then they move together. So if you ever wonder why you suddenly lost your group, it's probably because you clicked on like a box. So we're gonna go back to the freak. I don't think there's a mine over here, but I'm just gonna walk close. Because of your perception and your awareness, as I got close to here, you'd eventually see, oh, there's a tripwire, or there's a landmine. Doesn't seem to be one here, so that's the key. I won't be able to open that without the key. I get a frag grenade, which I'm going to swap my big giant clown with explosive skills loves frag grenades. Alright, so I'm going to hit quick save here because I healed, I looted, we got the chests, so everything seems to be good. So no, don't walk through these fires. Try to keep a straight line for everybody. Where's the mine? Alright. I wish that they wouldn't walk through fires. Hello. Here
Another
comes a
good
little
puppet to my name. You
little
hearing
narration.
this, Erastus? You ought to be here.
Oh,
The
that hand means I
deluge of
can loot
blood
the
has
corpse.
begun, and I'm
There
winning,
we go.
me
Oh, you know what I
brother.
forgot? I forgot to put my equipment on. So there's this hat that buffs up +1 to every skill, which is cool. You can see if I wear this equipment how it changes my appearance. I get this goofy cowboy hat on my clown, but this little checkbox, simple little checkbox, toggles off my helmet. And I like that because I can toggle off his helmet. Or maybe I want to keep hers on, or maybe with someone else in my party. I really like their helmet. I don't have to toggle off show helmets for everybody. So I actually just go in here, my two main characters, I want to keep them in costume. So I uncheck all those things. There's also this, where was that little badge? I'm missing it. Here it is. This gives you additional experience. So we're going to give that to the freak as well. So now that he has +5 experience and plus additional stats. So that should be a little bit more than 5 experience for the charisma. So I'll close that because I remembered to do that. And now I will hit quick save. So if I do something stupid, I can just reload and not have to repeat myself. Alright, so we can hear now this armored mech, this Dorsey warbot walking around. And it also has, here's this turret has a radius, and this bot has a radius. So if I were to walk right in here, this turret would kill me. And if it didn't kill me, the warbot would kill me. So there, it doesn't look like it, but you can go up here. You can walk this way. I think actually in easier modes, this turret is not enabled. So you can just walk right through here. I think that's true. But in this case, I want to walk up here. And mine will follow me closely. And this is where I can use, you can see there's a power. This little dotted line means it has power. And it means this is connected to this. And it's running. So this could be red, it could be yellow, it could just be off. So if you don't have nerd stuff, you can't hack this computer. And what you have to do is just walk right up here, and it's kind of like a little sneaky maneuvers. You just have to wait till it's not near you, and then walk right through here. You can see it has a pretty small radius. If I were to walk right through here now, you would all get destroyed. You would both get destroyed. And then I could just run across here. But because I have nerd stuff, gives you a little taste of what's to come. Can talk to this computer, and I can reprogram it. So I could try to disable the defenses. I haven't tried that before. Or you can reprogram it to target non-humans. And then what will happen is this little turret will be our friend. And now it won't attack us. And I just killed the warbot. Pretty interesting. And then what you get out of the warbot is this quick slot item that I can give to the mechanic. And if you use this in combat, they just drop a little turret that shoots for you, and these two things are just jump. So obviously not a game changer. You can see that because I hacked it, this now turned to yellow. This has been changed for us. It's not going to attack us anymore, and you can just walk through. So again, if you're in unfamiliar territory on the map, walk in small steps. And if you're really not sure, I can disable group mode and just move one of my characters around. So this way, if I ran right over a landmine, just the mine or just the freak would get hurt, and then I only need to use 1, maybe 2 heal potions. Whereas if my whole party ran across it, I'd probably have to use all my heals just to heal them up. But I happen to know there's a trap right there. So as you can see, I walked closer, and as soon as I was close enough, it detected it. So if I had clicked on weapon crate, he would have just kept walking, boom, exploded. But now, because I can disarm it with explosive skill, I click it, he walks up, disarmed. So I can now open this crate without really hurting myself. We get a flame sprayer. Oh, that's new. I think before that was an assault rifle. Let's compare. This is 17 to 23, 13 to 19. Yeah, so the ones that give you off the bat are actually really helpful. Really good items. We can sell that though. Then the mime over here, this is lockpick. Another interesting thing about group mode. Because I am not in group mode and I'm only controlling the freak, it thinks that I don't have lockpick. If I go in group mode, I'm still actively controlling the clown. Now it's white. So if I click on this, I'm out of range, of course. But now the mime will go over because she's the one who has lockpicking. Now so group mode is really smart, where it will just pick whoever has the skills needed to do it, and then they'll go do the action. So if you're seeing the red, like, hey, it says I need pick lock, I know I have a pick lock, you might not be in group mode, or you might be using the wrong character. This armor crate is available here. This is where I get my first little piece of armor. As you can see, it's +3 armor, has no requirements. So even if I only had 1 strength, I could use this. So we're going to put it on. If I toggle it on, it looks pretty horrendous. Definitely doesn't suit my clown. Maybe it does. Depends on what kind of clown you're interested in. But for our sake, just keeping that off. But he does get 3 additional armor, which is right here. So he has 3. If I take it off, now he has 0. So you can just keep track. You can also go down to wearables. So 3 armor. It just helps it do a little less damage, take a little less damage. Alright, and then this generator here, this is red, so it's not doing anything to this door. I can't open this door. It says requires power when I try. So if I go over here, now that the mines have been disabled, he's going to turn the generator on. It doesn't take any skill to do this. So this is what I mean. If this took mechanic skill to get through this door, and I didn't take the mechanic skill, then I'd be stuck. All of a sudden I can't move in the story, and I have to start over. So Wasteland is very good. The developers have done a great job. This required pick lock. It gave me armor, but if I didn't have pick locks, I would miss out on 3 armor from the beginning. But I could still move on in the story. So don't be afraid to build a team that you're interested in, picking the skills you're interested in. There will be a way through. It just might be a harder road without armor. Alright, so we're going to move forward a little bit more. Here's a crate. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Breaking my own rule. Oh, I don't think I've gotten this before. This is a pretty lucky run. Did I add luck? Maybe luck does do something. So, critical chance goes up by, it's 3%. It's not terrible. And the silent shoots junk, so I can go here. That works out pretty well for the mime, but she's going to get to attack more than the freak does. I just have to find it. What is it under? Miscellaneous, usable, wearable. Huh. That's weird. It's not filterable. Unless I'm just missing it. So we were looking for rabbit's foot. Is this it? No. Sometimes, this is my only complaint about this interface, is it is sometimes hard to find stuff. It should go in the order that, oh, here we go, it's new up top. So this is the rabbit's paw, and that was definitely not in here, not usable, not a mod, it's not miscellaneous, or it's not mission, it's not miscellaneous. Yeah, I would think It's not a weapon, right? Yeah. You can only get to it through the mess here. Alright, so that increased critical rate. Which one's that? Is that this 1.6? 73, 11, 1.6. Oh, now I gotta find it again. Here it is. 73, 11, 1.6. Oh, I guess it doesn't show you it here. Okay. Alright, so we have our critical chance. I'm pretty sure the game auto-saves for us. We're just about to get up to the dam, which is the first kind of boss battle. Not really a boss, but it's the biggest battle so far. So we loot that. Medical crate here. They're very generous in the beginning with meds and ammo. Otherwise, you would be extremely frustrated to die and run out of ammo. That is not the case for the whole game. I do remember having to ration ammo pretty tightly in Wasteland 1. So I imagine as we get into the game, I will have to be more and more careful with how much ammo I use. Well, probably energy rifles and rockets are going to be hard to come by in the very early to mid game. So, but bullets seem fine. I'm going to quick save here. I have my equipment ready to go. Let's see. Pretty good on ammo. I'm good on health. Quick saved. Just do a quick pan around here and make sure there's no little box that I missed. Don't see any. And then we will start the boss fight and call it a day. I'm definitely opening the door. This is what we're here for. Let's kick some more butt. Oh, my camera stayed this way. Here we go. Here's the man. Here's firing rockets.
Looks like we killed them all. Guess the fun's over. Wait a minute. Maybe not. Howdy,
I really am impressed
Highlander.
with the animation.
Oh, as much
How
fun
he
as it is killing
is
folk
expressive, that
long
matches
distance.
what he's saying.
like it best
I think
when
a
the
lot of these
deluge
games
of
that do
blood
dialogue like
happens
this,
up
they just
close and
randomly move their
personal.
limbs
You know
around
what I
or
mean?
move their heads around, but his
The
whole
rest
body
is gonna
moves.
be
It
sorry
matches
he
his
stayed home.
facial
He
expressions.
loves
It's
him
really
some
well done.
entrails.
So here's another one. If I had melee combat, I could say something else to him. I think it says something like, "That's a pretty pathetic knife," something like that. And then you just move on. So I'll just say, "Who are you people?"
You don't know much,
And
and it
we'll
all
get into the
began.
final
No one's coming to save
combat,
us.
or final dialogue steps. So we don't even have to fight Jarrett. Apparently our little helper,
Holy shit!
Major
They got
Prasad,
Jared.
can snipe him when he's not looking. There she is.
Never shut up. Heads up, Rangers.
Alright, we have to wipe out all the
More.
Dorseys.
Incoming.
There we go. Alright. Here's our grid. Again, these blow up. So you don't want to position yourself near them. And what you'd like to do, because I don't think you can miss them. And they definitely do damage. So it's helpful if someone's near this, like this person that's here, that explosion will damage them. The only downside is it doesn't do as much damage as your gun will do. But the positive is it's definite amount of damage and you won't miss. So this person just happens to be standing right here and they're out of range. So I'm going to fire. You can see that didn't do a ton of damage. It did set them burning. I'm also going to hit this one. Alright. And then I think this provides me cover. Not enough AP. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to focus on this half of the map right now. And so now it's my freak's turn. Yes, that does give me cover. So before I move, I want to take the furthest person. Alright. And now I do have a quick shot of frag grenades. This number here is how many I have. So there's 2, and they take 4 AP. So I have 4 AP left. What I want to see is if this cover, it looks like, protects him a little bit. Can't reach there. So I could finish this person off, which I think I will do. Although that's pretty... looks like that would kill them for sure. I like to try to hit as many people as possible, but I think I will take the option of trying to end some time. You can just click an area. Oh, okay. Well, I only did half of what it told me to do. Not good as I thought. 2 more. This person has a rocket launcher, so... oh boy. They're all coming after me this time. You definitely don't want to group up, so the rocket... oh. Well, they used up all their action points. That's good for me. Now what I could do... that's both damage people, right? I could just toss a little grenade right here and say hello. Hello. They're still alive. That's okay. And he's done. And let's see if the mine... now the mine? Yeah. Can reach. Alright, that's the importance of cover. I don't want to stand here because they will just shoot me. And what I want to try to do now is split my mine out. Because there is a potential rocket launcher coming in. So I'll just defend here. So hopefully it kills both of us. Well, that person can. Alright, they're still focused on her. The rocket just went into position. So this is the clown. So the freak can still hit from there. Look, I don't have to move around a lot. But I do want to move over here. Get my cover on. Alright, can you reach? Alright. Oh, so I have to reload, and then luckily I have the action points. That was 2 action points to reload, 4 to fire the first time, and then 4 more I have left. Hopefully, please. Perfect. Alright, killed that person. There's the rocket, but because I have explosives, I actually take a little less damage from explosives. So I'm glad they targeted the freak. And then the freak now can just heal himself. Boom. I don't think I can reach here. So I'm probably not going to go. I'm just gonna... where's the freak? Where's the mod? I'm just gonna take that out. So that it doesn't come back to get me. And I'll evade, and then I can move the mine over here. And I'm gonna put him in ambush just in case someone gets over. Here they come. Perfect. Ambush. They happen to walk right into range. So now, let's see if I move here, I can finish this person off. Dead. Combat over. Only 1 heal. That's probably my best round so far. I usually almost die there. Maybe even one of my guys does die. So we get this utility. This will increase my hard ass by 1, which is pretty cool. I don't think that was everybody. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that was on this corpse that was here when I started. And now that these people are dead, I can loot the rest of the corpses. Hit a law rocket that he had. So she has what? Crit chance by 3. Misses hard ass by 1. I think I'm gonna stick with the crit chance for now. You might have noticed a little level up. They both have these little, harder to see on the Freak, but these little arrows. That means they leveled up. So now they're both level 2. Level 2, level 2, and level 2. I don't get an attribute point, but I do get a skill point. Or 3 skill points here. Yeah, they both get 3. So, this is where I can make some choices. So what you can do, if you're not exactly sure what skills that you need, like right now I'm doing fine. So there's no requirement that you spend them. So what I may end up doing here, I don't need any modding right now. I should be able to add that to my mechanic, I think. If not, I'll divvy it out better. I'm going to add a leadership later. So you have the option of just not doing anything with these skill points. But what you can also do, if you're really not sure, is just go in here. Now that this is over and I've looted, before I start any dialogue, save game, I can do this starter kit and just overwrite it. And now I can make some skill choices. I can progress a little further, and if I'm like, oh, whoops, I should have done weapon modding too, start over again before you get too far out and do it. But I'm just going to hold on to those skill points now, because so far so good. Oh wait, I want to go up here. There is a medical pack up there. Definitely can use all the healing I can find. It's something that you will certainly run out of, so loot and buy as much healing as you can without spending all your money. Let's bring everybody down here. Now we get to talk to Major. There we go. She's in shock. She's
Nice
barely
work finishing
alive.
off that jerk's crew. Did you find any other survivors?
Yeah,
Bill's
we
a
did.
good kid. We do that.
Welcome
And the
to
Patriarch,
Colorado.
only when we first heard from the Patriarch,
Alright, so
General
now we have a
Woodson
bunch of options
sent an
here.
advance team to Colorado,
We knew all
led
this
by
stuff.
Angela.
We
No,
thought she died
otherwise
back
she'd
in
be
the
second.
original Wasteland.
Catch my breath, and we can go.
So I can do hard ass 1, I can do first aid, or we can just put her out of her misery, or we can just leave her to die. You get a lot of options here, so you can get the little theme here. She's going to die, there's nothing you can do. So this really comes down to how you want, this is a role-playing game after all, how you would role-play your characters in this situation. For me, it's kind of funny because I have a giant clown and a little mime, and theoretically my hard ass is my little mime. So I don't know how a mime would get this point across, but that's what we're gonna go with.
Well,
Just need to take it.
fuck.
We're just gonna watch because this is post-apocalyptic. We've seen a lot of bad stuff. Alright, she died. You get more armor, you get some pants, and another assault rifle. Oh. I mean, these would probably be good if you didn't have, if this is really just as a pre-order. I think I did pre-order this. I was pretty excited. If you don't have access to these weapons, then I would say hold on to this assault rifle, because it might be the first one that you've had. But definitely these early weapons are better. The gold weapons. So put some pants on my clown. Give some armor to my mime. Have the same equipment, same guns. Before we do a save here, I know there's nothing dangerous out here. If you weren't sure, you could just hit your quick save button. I like quick saves in that scenario because there's also a quick load. So quick load will load your last quick save. So it's helpful for that scenario if you're just like, hey, I might jump into battle and die. So I just want to not have to repeat too much. Whereas if I wasn't sure how I wanted to spend my skill points, I made that a named save file. So if I say I play for another half hour and I'm still unhappy, I can always go back to that and start over again. But quick saves are really helpful for just what the name implies. I really quick want to save this so I can really quick reload this if something goes really bad. Or there's maybe a dialogue choice and you're not sure which one to do, so try it, quick save, try it, keep moving. Hey, I have perception here. Hiss. The cat has a dog tag rather than a collar. Oh, I can't say that to him. Alright, so Animal Whisper is a skill. I didn't cover that while we were going over. It allows you to tame some of these wild animals that are out there. It also allows you to do more damage, or it allows your companion to do more damage, your animal companion. So, excuse me. I don't have animal companion. I actually Whisper. I don't recommend taking this early on because they give you cigarettes for this cat. I think they just want to show you what it's like and why you would want an animal companion. And I think you really only see a couple dogs along the way in the next scene, in the next stage. Not a whole lot of animals to tame in the first few hours. So you don't need to take Animal Whisper unless you're role-playing this animal-focused person. Then you can. And I honestly, since I've never had Animal Whisper 1, I don't know if you get something other than the cat as your friend. Maybe it does give you something different. But I have the cigarettes. So now the cat will join us. And then you can see she's not in my party. I don't get to control the cat. The cat is neutral. The cat will decide when it wants to attack things and when it wants to not attack things. No skills or anything. But what I do get is whoever tamed it at the time. So keep that in mind if they come into animals in the future, or for your animals, for the person who got the cat. So it has an additional critical chance. So now I have a plus 6% critical chance from having the kitten. These are all like status effects, by the way. The freak has none. Good and bad show up here, so this will stay here. If there's a leader in around, you'll get the leadership bonus. If you are bleeding or burning or somehow injured, they all show up here. And you just mouse over them. So you can see just the mime now has this plus 6% crit chance. And we already had the plus 3% from the other item. So pretty good move for us. That is one of the benefits of having an animal companion. And then if we get into combat later, the cat will just like, meow, walk up and start scratching him. So we're going to just move up here because I know this is the end of this tutorial stage. We get to hear from Erastus. Is that how he said it? See, it's in his corpse. Erastus. And more meds. Definitely need the meds. Someone is not happy with us. Spoiler alert, we do get the chance to catch up with Erastus in not too far future. Glass knuckles. So if I was a brawler, I'd have some glass knuckles. I don't really need them. And then here is, let's see, here is the end of the tutorial stage. Just like the one that we saw used in the beginning, we inherit this little truck. Well, I guess it's not that little, it seems kind of little, but we inherit this truck, so you just click on it. Dialogue takes over.
They got her? God damn it. Fuck this place. Fuck it.
Alright, not happy. And then here comes our cat. Get into the truck, cat. Here comes our clown. And we are done with the tutorial. We move on to what will become Ranger Headquarters. But that is more than I wanted to cover now. So we got to dive into the first couple battles. equipping, armor, weapons, action points, and also very early on, how to build out your characters, what skills and attributes and perks can do for you. So hopefully that was helpful, and hopefully you've noticed that Supreme Jerk is not that terrible. Got through it pretty easily. I have done this a number of times now. I think it's my 6th time through the tutorial, if you want to call it that, with Supreme Jerk, and it definitely gets a little easier because you know what steps you can take and which ones to avoid. You don't run into landmines by accident as often. So
3
overall,
when there were 50. Cold logic
happy.
says I should turn
And
you
now we get to
away.
meet the Patriarch, and
That
in
there
our
aren't
next session,
enough of you left
we
to do
will
the
move on
job at
to
hand.
building out the second part of our team. We get to
That
do that
Dorsey
here, but
ambush was-
first there's a couple
the
of
Dorseys
tasks we
didn't
have to
just
complete.
attack you. They attacked my city.
Thanks for
This
tuning
one
in. I will also try to
trying
split
to
this up
burn
into
down
separate
our
videos,
jail.
so if you just want to
If you want
revisit
some vengeance for
the
what
build
was
out of
done
the
to
mime, the build out of the freak,
you,
a
he's
discussion of
yours.
save files, I'm going to split all those up. And I will catch everybody later.